on the problems that followed.
To most footballers, pre-match routine means nothing more serious than a bowl of cornflakes and maybe a superstition about which boot to put on first. But for Gary Mabbutt, without this, there couldn't be this.
On by Mabbutt. Here he is again. Mabbutt!
Gary Mabbutt is a diabetic. Only the most rigid personal discipline has given him the freedom to develop into an England international and a versatile, indispensable member of the Tottenham side that will be seeking its 6th FA Cup final victory in the last 26 years.
Dyson back there calling for it.
Smith, he took that magnificently. A great goal. A beautiful goal.
This remarkable sequence began in 1961, the year Gary was born. His father, Ray, was a professional. His elder brother, Kevin, would become a pro.
Ever since I was born, I think my father was already a professional at Bristol Rovers. And I think in our cots, we were taken down to the games with Mum to watch the games. And so really, I think as soon as we were old enough to appreciate the fact that our father was a footballer, and obviously that's what we'd like to do, I think we were sort of made aware from a very young age.
As the boys have grown into men, Ray Mabbutt has preserved a lot of his sons' careers as cinephile. But after long league experience himself with Bristol Rovers, how did Ray feel about Kevin and Gary following in his stud marks?
Parents very often want to, if you like, lead their children into some sort of career, and as always happened very much in the past, they've got a chance to coach their children into whatever they're in themselves. I also believe that most adults fail to reach the achievement levels that they perhaps think they should do. And certainly in football, I never ever reached the achievement that I wanted to. And perhaps you hope that your offspring are going to do that, and perhaps you relive your own career through them. I had the ability to show my boys how to play football, to coach them, and to hope that they would make a career in the game. And thankfully, they both went into it.
Mabbutt!
They were always into football because with playing football myself, they would always go with me to games. They'd go down and watch the training, and I think people that are brought up in an atmosphere perhaps tend to want to go into that as they get older. As soon as they could walk, they would be kicking a woolly ball about, and or a balloon, or there's always balls around, and they were playing about with them.
Many a father likes his sons to develop in his own image. Many sons are happy to. But what about the Mabbutt boys in soccer? Did they run or were they pushed?
He never really pushed us. I mean, he gave us the opportunities, which I think a lot of children never had. Obviously, having a father in football, he was able to coach us or to bring us along as far as our ability went. If we wanted to go out after school or after we'd done our homework, he'd be there and he'd go out with us, but he never actually forced us to go out.
Ray Mabbutt wrote a book about the path to professionalism his sons followed. As they progressed, with his encouragement and criticism, the cuttings grew more and more favourable. Today, even Ray sees few flaws in Gary.
No, in fact, I'm becoming stumped. The more I see him, I become more stumped to find fault with what he's what he's doing.
At first glance, Gary doesn't look athletic, but see him in action and you realise athleticism is the foundation of his skill.
That's something that's basically I've had to work on, but I do enjoy playing a lot of other sports, and from my school days, really, I got involved in most sports at school, as far as the school cricket team, the football team, obviously, the rugby team, the cross-country team, the basketball team. Every time we used to go on holiday or whatever, we always used to go out running in the mornings and then have an hour's football, training, whatever, on the beaches. And I think all this has really stood me in very good stead for the future.
As a player, he's got all the attributes. I mean, he's got enough pace, he's got enough strength, he's a great leaper, so his head works good, can use the ball both feet. You know, when he was in the England youth team a few years ago, when he was down at Bristol and John Cartwright was his manager, it looked then as though he was going to be a very good player. Now, if you want an ideal professional, you don't have to look any further.
The brothers started as professionals in Bristol. Occasionally, they were opponents. For Kevin had signed for City, Gary for Rovers. Off the pitch, they were close friends. In due course, Gary had followed Kevin into the England youth side. And for both, the future was full of optimism.
Royals there, and they beat Clements Mabbutt. 2-1.
Kevin was the first to leave the West Country, transferred to Crystal Palace in 1981. But a serious knee injury forced him out of league football when he should have been reaching his best. Kevin's misfortune is a constant reminder to Gary of how precarious the footballer's life is.
When I became diabetic, I was put in a position that the specialists weren't actually sure if I could continue as a professional footballer. And when they actually said, well, yes, we think we can give it a shot and I think you can still be a player, yeah, that was good enough for me. And I think it's awful when you're actually put in the situation of a player who actually gets a bad injury or an illness, that your career is put in jeopardy. I say in the case of my brother now, obviously a very, very good player, very good goal scorer, and could have gone a lot higher. You know, if you're still playing at the moment. And he's had to cut short his career through his injury. I think any player that's put in that position, it must be a dreadful feeling. I think players who are still playing should realise how lucky they are to still be in the game.
Gary owes his continuing success to expert medical supervision and to his own self-discipline, not least in overcoming his squeamishness about injections.
I used to hate injections, any sort of injection, especially going to the dentist or anything. The sight of a needle I used to really detest. But I think when they give you the choice of either injecting yourself twice a day or not being around, I think it's quite an easy choice, really.
Additionally, Gary has to give himself regular blood tests several times a day.
I'm lucky enough I've got a glucometer, which is a blood testing machine, which I carry around with me everywhere. And most days I'll probably do 1 or 2 blood tests, but then 2 or 3 days leading up to a big game, obviously I want to be perfect for the game. Perhaps I'll do up to sometimes 6 tests a day to make sure that my blood levels are correct and as they should be.
If Gary finds that his blood gives a reading outside normal levels, he has to take prompt steps to rectify it. Today it's a fraction below the safe minimum, but that can be simply solved. A couple of digestive biscuits will do. What's a snack to most of us is mathematics for Gary. Anything he eats, from an apple to a yoghurt, has a numerical value. These days he gets his sums right by instinct. Danny McGrain of Celtic and Scotland is another diabetic. Sportsmen in the public eye can be an inspiration to fellow sufferers, as Gary has become aware from the number of letters he gets. Not just from this country, from a diabetic in Czechoslovakia, from a Bulgarian who wrote asking for advice after he read a story in a Soviet newspaper about how Gary copes.
When I was first diagnosed, they said to me, look, do you want to be known to the public you're diabetic, or do you want to try and keep it secret? And I thought, well, really, I mean, when I was first diagnosed, I was told about Danny McGrain, and that was an encouragement to me. So I thought, well, if I could do the same for other children, or for other people, then, then it'd be all to the good.
It's made him a more responsible person. And, every time you look at him, you think, oh, dear me. You almost feel sympathy in some kind of way. And yet, that's the last thing he would want. I can't speak high enough of him, really. He's top class. He's, with 10 Gary Mabbotts in the team, you can go away on holiday pre-season and know that you're not going to be relegated.
If not quite a team in himself, Mabbott is the perfect team player, Tottenham's Mr. Versatility. Given the choice, he'd prefer to play in midfield, if only for the continuous involvement in the game. But he's equally at home in defence. This season, his partnership with Richard Gough has given Spurs a new solidity in the centre of their back four. Gary made his first appearance for England in a number 2 shirt, still carefully preserved by his father. That debut at right back was against West Germany in 1982.
Mabbott shot!
Gary is always looking for goals too, usually at set pieces.
Mabbott! That is a terrific goal, and this player, he's all purpose.
I'd like to be able to be jack of all trades, master of all trades. Now, that's virtually going to be impossible to do. But as far as if I can aim to get as near that as possible, then, the happier I'll be.
Tottenham have finished 3rd in the league without quite matching the consistency of their Merseyside rivals. But at their best, as here against Manchester United, they've been one of the most attractive sides to watch. Many judges are licking their lips in anticipation of Saturday's cup final, remembering the treat Tottenham and Coventry produced earlier this season.
The games we've had against Coventry this year, particularly the game at Christmas time up at Highfield Road, we got beaten 4-3, but I think everybody, if you speak to about that game, who saw that game, will say what an incredibly, exciting game it was. And if the cup final is anything like that game, then it should be a real good game for everybody to watch, hopefully with a different result.
Where Gary and his brother used to support their father,
High post, Dad, come on.
in his Bristol Rovers days and later in charity games, now Ray Mabbutt will be the onlooker. But will he be the stern ex-professional critic, or will he be just another nervous dad?
He'll be a nervous dad, I think, yes. Very proud, but nervous, and I should must be playing the game as well.
Throughout his career, on and off the pitch, in training and in matches, in the time he devotes to the encouragement of others, Gary has been a son any father would be proud of and a player any manager would covet. David Pleat, who once tried to sign him for Luton, has only one tongue-in-cheek reservation about him at Tottenham.
I would like to think there was a chink somewhere. He's not a gambler. I don't think he's a womaniser. And I've never seen him yet having a drink, but I hope if he gets to Wembley, he'll have a good drink.
When we are young and you look back at the times we've sat with the family watching the games, you know, as soon as the match has been won or whatever, the cup's been presented around Wembley, invariably myself and my brother have gone straight out in the garden or straight out playing football. So I wonder if I'll do the same this year.
Gary Mabbutt out of the front garden and in that Spurs lineup that is determined to preserve their unbeaten FA Cup final record. Coventry, of course, they've got no cup final record. After 104 years of trying, well, they've made it at last.
Marvellous. Never thought I'd achieve it. After all these years, you know, you keep looking forward, and when it suddenly comes, well, I couldn't believe it.
We had some fun, telling you. That's when Ozzy had his dream, and then old Rick, he done the trick, scored the best goal you ever saw. Now in '97, with David Pleat's 11, we're going to...
Robson to Pointer. First time Pointer's won a duel in the air. Or Pointer, one out now to Harris. And a goal! The one-inch on this final will now be even greater than ever. White. It's a Smith, he's got a wonderful chance to score! And so, Danny Blanchflower, captain of Spurs, to take the penalty. And 3-1. Square coming in with power. Law can do it. He's done it. Oh, a beautiful ball to Charlton. We're going to see a shot, surely. Skips. And a lovely ball. Centre. Oh, shot for free distance.
Please lock me away and don't allow the day here inside where I hide with my loneliness. I don't care what they say, I won't stay in a world without love.
Dawson. A goal, yes, by Holden. Boyce across to Moore. Now Sissons, that wasn't a good clearance. To Byrne, a lovely one to the Sissons, and it's equaliser! Wilson with the corner. Dawson, a goal, a beautiful goal! And I see signs of Brown, the tall West Ham centre half, moving up to the corner. Dawson going to shadow it. There's Brown, number 5. And Hurst. Ah, goal! It's a goal! Now, away goes Hurst. Can he do it in the dying seconds? Braybrook. Are we going to have a sensational ending? Yes, we are! It's a goal! And that must be the across to Stevenson. Stevenson. Oh, here comes Byrne. Yes, a goal by Hunt. Roger Hunt scored. I think the Liverpool fans are chanting St John now. Oh, there's Charlton up with the attack. Now Bremner, he's equalised. There's Billy Bremner, the man who scored so many important goals. Come Liverpool again. Not hurrying things, because the team that panics now will lose this cup final. It's out to Callaghan. Hitting it too far. It's a goal!
Some sweet day I'll make her mine, pretty flamingo. Then every guy will envy me, 'cause paradise is where I'll be.
Good throw to Ford. Macalio, the goal! Can Alex Young do it? No. And it's Phantom taking over. So well. Oh, he's going for a lovely move. It's going to be the second goal by Ford. A goal. And that should just about clinch it. Wednesday's Cup, it's Ford. Hardy to Gabriel to Harris. Now a chance for Bilko. He scored. So Bilko has scored for Everton. Sheffield Wednesday have brought everybody back now. They have 11 men between the wall and their goal. Scott with the ticket there, you see. Harris moving up. Scott. Bilko. A goal! He's equalised! Two Everton supporters have raced onto the pitch, and then one of them thinks it. And a great tackle, almost on the line. Everton buzzing around with much more purpose than they were doing. Covering the gaps, making it almost impossible for Wednesday to create space, and now a great chance of that mistake by Jerry Young in Liverpool. And it's the first goal! Oh, what a tragedy for Jerry Young.
I wonder if one day that you say that you care. If you say you love me madly, I gladly be there like a puppet on a string.
Rutherford has been hampered, and so has Castleford. Rosetta has fallen, Principal has fallen, Norther has fallen, Curtin Lad has fallen, the Fossa has fallen. There's a right pile-up. Leedsy has climbed over the fence and left his jockey there, and now with all this mayhem, Bourne-Avon has gone off on his own.
Like a puppet on a string.
Now Mullery, notice how quickly Tottenham take their free kicks. Robertson, a goal! Right on half-time. Robertson has scored. With a long one, no doubt. Robertson, Saul. Oh, wonderful goal by Saul. So you see Tottenham Hotspur 5 minutes away from the FA Cup with their 5th victory. Unless, of course, Chelsea can snatch 2 goals in 5 minutes. Boyle. There's one of them. Is the man who's got it.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Fraser and Albion piling the pressure on Everton now. This is Astle. Astle! Jeff Astle has achieved the record. He scored in every round of the FA Cup. There is the short his shot that ever won a championship. Somerby moved inside. It's Woolett with him. Somerby back to Young. It's beautiful goal! Scored by Young. Made by Somerby. So 5 minutes from half-time. Jackie Charlton is the scorer for Leeds. Houseman, a beauty score! Remner to Giles. Clark, it's hit the post! A goal, Jones! Remner calling his men back. Now to Hollins with the free kick. Hutchinson, a goal!
That's Clark. Through to Jones. And he fired a magnificent goal. 1-0 to Leeds.
Ending ball in now. Hollins again. Osgood. Now Hutchinson. Cook. And Osgood. Beautifully scored by Osgood. Ran beautifully off the ball. And then from is a goal. Yes, a goal. Webb.
I am W-O-O-O, and I'm still here again.
Coming to the last. Stood right there.
Spurs 1 up, and nothing was going to stop them now. A quarter of an hour before time, Smith centred, and Dyson made no mistake this time.
Under the captaincy of Danny Blanchflower, it was the first League and FA Cup double of modern times, and 12 months later, Tottenham were back in the final again. Their resources boosted by the acquisition of a certain James Greaves, who took only 3 minutes to make his mark against Burnley. Spurs on their way to a 3-1 win. Blanchflower was 36 by now. It was his last Wembley final. But Greavesy was still to the fore 5 years later. In 1967, it was an all-London affair, Tottenham against Chelsea.
So Mullery for Spurs. Moving forward quickly. Chelsea moving away from him. Now Robertson. What a goal! Robertson. Dave Mackay. A chance for Robertson. Now Saul. A good goal! A good goal for Frank Saul. Harris finding John Boyle. The youngest man in the match. This is dangerous. It's a chance. It's a goal. It's a goal by Bobby Tambling.
The FA Cup in the hands of that colourful character Dave Mackay. The 60s were certainly swinging for Spurs, winners in 61, 62 and 67. Now that sequence could be reproduced in the 80s. In 1981, Ricky Villa was left disconsolate, substituted in the 1-1 draw with Manchester City. His mood was to change dramatically in a pulsating replay.
Ardiles. All good play by Ardiles. Hurdling one challenge after another, getting a break. Archibald, save, Villa! But it's Ray Ransom then with the free kick for Manchester City. Hit a long one there towards Dave Bennett. Miller was up well. Houghton was in there too. Hutchison to Mackenzie. Oh, a tremendous goal! Steve Mackenzie. Flipped on there.
for Bennett. And a penalty. Bennett brought down, the penalty given. And it's there by Reeves, and City are in the lead. Villa. Huddle. Little chip in there. Can Archibald get in there? Crooks! Crooks is up ahead, but he might be offside. And that maybe was why Galvin was reluctant to release it. Now he can find Villa. And he can really stab them. Going all the way. And Villa! 3-2 to Tottenham.
Steve Perryman, the winning captain in the 100th Cup final. And like Blanchflower, he was able to savour the experience again a year later. But in 1982, Second Division Queen's Park Rangers took Spurs to a second match, which was only decided by a penalty.
Roberts. Like a battleship charging through there. Oh, and he's going all the way. Roberts is brought down, and it has to be a penalty. No doubt. Well, Hoddle has scored 14 times this season, 5 of them from the penalty spot, and he's put Spurs into the lead.
So Tottenham have never lost an FA Cup final. Wins at Wembley in 61, 62 and 67, 81, 82 and 87 if Richard Gough raises the trophy today. Coventry City.
Oh, and a flying header and a brilliant goal. And that was Hoddle. Oh, Hutchison, it's in. Brilliant. It is Archibald, has got a chance. Good save, Ricky Villa. Ranson with the kick. Miller, Reeves underneath it. And now Hutchison to Mackenzie. Oh, tremendous goal! Steve Mackenzie. What a chance here for Archibald. Crooks. Villa. And still Ricky Villa. What a fantastic run. He scored. Amazing goal.
Ebony and ivory live together in perfect harmony, side by side on my camera.
Hoddle. Hoddle! It's there! It's there! Roberts, it was Hazel's flick, and Fennick was in there, and it's a goal! Terry Fennick. Hoddle scores. By Bobola Lineker. 1-0 to Everton. Here's Whelan.
Smashed the old record.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. It's been a marvellous season for
I mean,
him.
he's the player of the year too for PFA and the Football Writers.
That's right, he's done well. All the goals I scored, no one ever voted me that son. Terrible, isn't it? And look, there he is, Chrissy Waddle. He always looks absolutely knackered to me, but he turns it on, doesn't he?
He's got marvellous skill.
Yeah.
Marvellous skill. I mean, I think it's so skillful there to do the shot. Received
trick Bruce, didn't he?
But look at that, Jim. I think at Wembley, this is the kind of thing that we'll be looking for today. You know, him taking defenders on.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's Glenn Hoddle. I mean, Glenn Hoddle will use today, I think, Jim, to really show the world what his skills are.
Well,
because the whole of the world will be watching
could well be his final game for Tottenham, couldn't it?
Yes.
Nothing's definite in this world, but I'm sure he'll want to go out on a high note. And this is a marvellous goal, isn't it, Ian?
Oh, you know, beautiful skill. Beautiful skill.
It's marvellous. Good play.
Lovely.
Great play.
OK, well, let's look now at Coventry. I mean, they themselves have got...
We might never be here again. Let's enjoy the complete day. And the teams, in fact, will be leaving their respective hotels fairly shortly. This is the Coventry headquarters, down on the Thames. Weddings going on around there, we heard earlier, and the church bells in the background. And we'll be seeing their departure in due course.
Well, there we are. Now, one other trophy is going to be lifted here at Wembley today. Nothing to do with football, but everything to do with boxing, and more of that in a moment. But it's been a hectic few months for the sport, with Sugar Ray Leonard's staggering victory over Marvin Hagler, Mike Tyson emerging as a true undisputed heavyweight champion, Britain's Terry Marsh claiming a world title in considerable style, and the return to business of Frank Bruno.
And he's still playing as well as ever, is Ray. You can't fault him. Incredible. And Big Oggy, well, he, I think, is probably beginning to prove himself to be England's leading contender now for Schultz's job.
Would you say that?
I would say that, most definitely, yeah. I don't see anybody who's a better keeper than him at the moment. He really is playing well. As this save, I think, says it all, and I think that... Just look at that.
That was the save that got him to Wembley.
It was. It was the save of the season, and to me, he is the man most likely.
Yeah. Now, both teams that have met twice this season, and I saw the game up at Coventry in December, Jim, and it was a cracking game.
I know you did.
You know,
bunked in, didn't you?
Yeah, bunked
Got
in.
in without paying.
And Coventry won at 4-3, and,
yes.
you know, on the day, you had to say, well, you know, two great teams, and if they could only turn, you know, today's... match into the same as this, I mean, people will go away ecstatic.
Oh, it's going to be a remarkable achievement if both teams could play at this level, but it shows here that they're both capable of it. That's the Houchi. They scored one like that about 2 minutes earlier.
The thing about, I've found on the day, Jim, that Spurs had a problem with Houchin and Cyril in the air, and it's something that I think we'll be looking for today, you know, to see if they can repeat that. Clive Allen, of course, was deadly on the day. I think that's a super goal.
Yeah, it was a good goal. Great goal. Well taken. No question. No keeper's going to stop it when it's that low down.
But, you know, we talk about the battling skills of Coventry City, and again on the day, that's exactly what they did. And David Bennett, who you say keeps popping up in unlikely places, you know, likes to get through the middle, Jim, can link up with Big Cyril.
He's confident. He likes to score goals now, and that's the main thing. And you know, I mean, that's confidence when you can play a 1-2 off the post, isn't it, like that? It shows how confident this team is at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it was really end-to-end stuff, you know. It was terrific football, marvellous football.
Off the post there, we've got two confident teams in the final. I don't know, it's getting too much now, isn't it?
So that was at 3-3, you know, last minute, Big Cyril pumped it against
the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
lovely.
They're doing very well, aren't they?
Great.
Great game.
And as I say, if we can get a game like that today...
If we can get a game like that today, Shane...
we could all go home happy.
Absolutely.
Right, well, that is it for the present from Jimmy and me. We'll be back later with Brian Moore and Ryan.
From all of us. I don't think I've ever seen you concentrate as much, personally.
Well, it's a big tournament to try and get yourself motivated for, but I think possibly having been beaten twice in the last 2 years in the final, I was more determined. I think concentration or determination. But I've had a look at a couple of videos since, and it was in my eyes.
Oh, the eyes were that big.
I had the tiger job, and it was. I took a leaf out of Lloyd's book.
Well played, mate. And of course, well played 2 years ago when it was your turn with different glasses. I might add.
That's right. These are for the football, Jimmy. I got these especially for the football.
But are you going to play in those?
No, I think I'll have to take them off, and I probably won't even see the ball.
Well, if anyone kisses you, it'll be me. Don't worry about that. And of course, not the twilight hours of the snooker rooms and that, but our world champion here, Lloyd. Tremendous what you did to Mr. Blocker. Hard fight for you, though.
It was a hard fight. I'm still trying to recover. Look, it's the red eyes.
As I said earlier, the fans arriving here from about 8 o'clock this morning. And we'll move away now. In fact, the doors are just about opening up for the fans. But we're moving down to the Complete Angler down on the Thames there at Marlow, the Coventry headquarters, where, as Tony Gubber was telling us earlier on, there's a marriage taking place, or has been taking place. There, I think, are the bride and groom. And if they wanted a quiet wedding, I tell you what, they did pick the wrong day and the wrong place. Tony was actually saying that the bride is going to be kissed by the entire Coventry team. So early married and so unfaithful already. There's Brian Kilcline, the Coventry captain. He's been lifting the flowers up, but will he lift the cup later on today? He's a bit of a character. One kiss from Brian Kilcline. Second prize was 2 kisses. And there's John Sillett, the coach, who's been full of fun and very bubbly about Coventry's first final appearance, and largely responsible for getting them here, of course. I say, oh dear, oh dear. Will Kilcline wear it for the match? But the Coventry boys are obviously clearly very relaxed down there and having a nice time. It's Macarena Elliott, as was. She's now Mrs. Mark Duffy. So, those are the happy scenes down at the Coventry headquarters. Let's switch to the Tottenham headquarters. These shots brought to you by our famed heli telly. Camera up in the helicopter, that means. So, here are the Tottenham boys now. Ray Clements, who's played at Wembley a few times in his life. And it looks as though they're departing. It's Klassen, one of the substitutes. Hodge. And all the boys, there's Gary Mabbott, all looking forward. Glenn Hoddle, his last Wembley appearance. And there's the man who's got all the goals this season, Clive Allen, of course. Needs 2 today to make it 50. I wonder. So the Tottenham boys getting set for the journey to Wembley. Richard Gough has played a vital part in Tottenham's fortunes this season, and Waddle, who might just have a good day here on the wing for them, and David Pleat, whose first year as manager at Tottenham has been so successful. Right, Ozzy Ardiles too. We're looking forward to seeing him play today. Right, let's have a look at Coventry, who are departing now as well. There's the Coventry boys putting the gear in. The all-important. There's John Sillett once again. The Coventry players, lesser known, of course, than the Tottenham stars. There's Ogrizovic, who might play a very, very vital role today. He played so well in the semi-final when they beat Leeds, 3 vital saves. Cyril Regis, will he be amongst the goals today? And Bennett, another man who we might see delight us on the wings here at Wembley this afternoon. So that's the Coventry team setting out for the drive to Wembley. And Brian Kilcline, the captain, taking the flowers, but not the garter. I don't know. So here's the current scene at Wembley now. The band ready to entertain the public when they come in. The gates just about opening up. And we'll be back here for all the build-up to the match. But let's first of all go back to Debbie Thrower in the newsroom for the news.
Buckingham Palace has made contact with the Governor-General
Here today, and Bob Wilson has been meeting someone.
Bill, Tottenham's 8th FA Cup final. They've won all the previous 7. It puts a lot of pressure on them, doesn't it?
I suppose it does, Bob, yes. Mine's the pressure on everybody when you're playing a match like this.
But do you not feel that being such firm favourites is not always helpful?
Well, I don't know that we are firm favourites, really. I feel that the players have got a lot of experience, and although it's a sort of a hot game for them, they'll go out there and as soon as the match starts, it'll start to get a bit easier for them, I think.
Do you feel that there has to be a Tottenham way of winning things? I mean, you were always very proud of the traditions when you were both a player and then when you managed the double side and beyond.
Yes. Well, we always have liked to play what people would call good football, and that has always been the basis. We haven't always had good finals when we've played here.
You weren't always happy even in 61,
No, but you see, the basis is laid, and we have got the results, I would feel, because of the basis, rather than what we did on the day.
You see a lot of football. You've got a great respect for Coventry as well.
I do have a great respect for Coventry this year, particularly. And I think it's going to be a very close game from our point of view, anyhow.
Thanks very much. Bobby Gould, born and bred in Coventry. It's a marvellous day for Coventry people, isn't it?
It is, Bob. I've waited 40 years for this, being a lifelong supporter, and it's smashing to see the Sky Blues people coming down the famous Wembley way there.
It must be an emotional day for you as well, because you were manager of Coventry up to 2 years ago. And how many of these players today did you bring to the club?
Well, 6 I actually brought to the club, and Lloyd McGrath and Steve Sedgley came through the youth policy. So it is a smashing day from my point of view, seeing the lads that you brought from the 3rd and 4th division, and then Cyril Regis from the 1st division, actually getting to Wembley in a famous sky blue shirt.
A little bit of a heartache, obviously, for you, but delighted for George Curtis.
Well, the management staff, John Sillett and George Curtis, done a wonderful job. You know, when you're a manager of a club, you're aware of situations and you just hope that you leave a base there. I believe I left a base there and they've gone on from strength to strength.
Do you think they can win it?
That's an interesting one, but I think the 5-man in midfield will be the interesting point for me today. 5 against 4, and with the exciting ability of Waddle and Hodge down the flanks. But there again, Regis and Bennett are a formidable duo, and the boy Houchin's had a wonderful run as well.
So do I take it that, I mean, you are rooting for your old club?
I'm a Coventry kid, born and bred, and you just hope that they get the result that they deserve.
Be good for the game as well?
Fabulous for the game, you know, the supporters that are here today and everybody else. And let's just hope football's a winner as well, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Bobby, there's a fantastic atmosphere as always, and it strikes me the Coventry fans are providing it.
Well, yes, I mean, I think they think it's their day. They're making history, aren't they? So they're going to take every advantage and make it a day never to be forgotten. And I should think this will go on all afternoon.
How surprised are you that Coventry are in the final?
Oh, not at all surprised. I mean, they've improved greatly over the season, and they were a better bet than a middle-of-the-table team. And I think if you could go to Man United in the 5th round and Sheffield Wednesday's in the 6th round, and not just get a draw and take them back to Coventry, but in actual fact beat both of those teams away from home, it has to be your year, and you deserve to get to the cup final, and great tribute to them.
There are a few of your England lads, of course, in the Tottenham side. Yes. They have great experience.
Well, yes, I mean, that's their second home in many ways. They've played here many times. They do have a few aces if you look at the pack, don't you? And you think, well, if Tottenham hit it on the day, they can unlock the door, and they've got probably more players in the side who can affect the game more than what, say, Coventry have. But they would have to play very well to win it, because I think if Tottenham don't hit form and, you know, get it all together on the day, then Coventry will step in with their collective spirit, naturally, and their simple way of playing. Regis and Bennett will be obviously a thorn in the Tottenham defence, and it can be anybody's cup.
On cup final day, do you come here just to enjoy the day, or do you come as the England manager looking at the likes of a Grizovic or Hoddle or whoever?
Yeah, no, today I do both. I can enjoy it today. When I go scouting from a league point of view, I'm looking at players and not at a match. Today I'll take in the atmosphere and enjoy the occasion, but obviously I've got 1 or 2 players out there who I've got a very special interest in.
With a view to Brazil coming up very soon?
Yes, I'm not looking for a draw today.
Mike, Welsh team manager, but I suppose you really can't be unbiased today, can you, with your connection with Tottenham?
Well, not really. I played for them for 9 years. I do have a Welsh player, of course, playing for Coventry, and David Phillips, and he'll be playing at right full-back, so I just hope that he plays very well. I'm sure he will.
What are your thoughts about Coventry City? You've seen them play?
Yes, I have seen them play, and I'm very impressed with them. And I think that they've come so far this season, and they've excited so many people. And I think that the club atmosphere and everything that's been created in Coventry is really good for football.
It's hard to explain to people that as a footballer you shouldn't get nervous about things like being in 7 finals and winning them all, that it puts pressure on. But there is pressure on Tottenham.
It does, it certainly does put pressure on, because I remember in '67 when we were playing Chelsea, this was coming up all the time, and they're saying, remember, you know, no Spurs teams ever lost at Wembley. And it does put a bit of pressure on you, and I know the players playing today, they don't want to be the first Tottenham team that come to Wembley and lose, and so there is a bit of pressure.
They are clear favourites as well, aren't they? They've got class players and experienced players.
And I think that the last word, experience, I think, on a day like today, I think experience is going to take, you know, a lot, because with Hoddle and Ardiles in midfield, I think that if they get hold of that midfield, Coventry are going to find it difficult.
I take it that means Spurs for you.
Yes, I think so. You know, I'm looking forward to a Spurs win, yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers, Bob.
Mike England there. Well, now, some football clubs have a history. Coventry City, up until the 60s, just had I suppose, a past. They moved around between the 2nd Division, the old 3rd North and South, and eventually descended into Division 4. Then came a new beginning, and despite several close calls, they've maintained their First Division status unbroken for the last 20 years. The man who changed things at Coventry was undoubtedly James Hill.
Over 20 years ago, the Sky Blue Express steamed out of this station carrying the citizens of Coventry the length and breadth of the land in support of their team. Today, we go down to Wembley to support the Sky Blues in the Cup final. And we're accompanied by some of those who shared those magic moments in days gone by.
The next train to arrive at platform 3 will be the 14
To forget the boredom and fatigue of the assembly line, there's always football. And when Coventry City play away from home, the club run the Sky Blue Special, a weekend excursion away from the factory, complete with music and dancing, beer and bingo. It's an escape route and a good way to keep busy waiting for the Saturday game.
All they think about now is the Sky Blues. Monday morning at work, nothing but Sky Blue.
That's the word.
Mad, I should say so. I think he's getting as bad as Liverpool.
Jimmy, how significant is the football club to the Coventry car worker?
I think it plays a big part in his or her life. I've never worked on an assembly line myself, but I've watched them, and I imagine that at the end of a day, you want something to lift you up, and at the end of a week, you want something exciting, something with a life in it, and a weekend away supporting the Coventry City Football Club, I think, gives them that lift. They enjoy themselves apart from watching the game. They feel very much part of the afternoon. They go out and enjoy themselves after the game. On a Monday morning, they come back refreshed.
I wonder if you remember how the train came about, how we managed to start Sky Blue Express. Well, you came to me one day and you said, you know, there's only one black spot in this club. Everything's running so beautifully, but there is one black spot. And that's the fact that British Rail won't allow our supporters to go on the train because of hooliganism and problems and so on. Now, what we can do about it, we must do something. You try and sort it out. So I went up to British Rail and saw them, and this was the problem. And in the end...
This is certainly the moment that the celebrity teams, I think, have been looking forward to. This is what you might call an embarrassment of talent. It's absolutely wonderful. When I look at some of them, I'm pretty embarrassed. I mean, look at this. You got the ball stuffed up there, Jimmy.
How dare you? So happens I'm with child.
But actually...
And I know who the father is. I'll see you later. Yes.
But I tell you, it's a fantastic thing, isn't it, to be able to run out onto the Wembley pitch.
David, Gloria, David has promised us all a jacuzzi when we come in, so we're all feeling very fit and can't wait to get in.
Well, that's marvellous. And everybody, as you can see, is in incredibly fit condition out there.
Have you been training a lot?
Yes, we've been training. We've had about 6 training sessions, and so everybody's in
Ronnie
amazing
fell in a gin and tonic, but he's all right. Yes.
Look at the small trophy, Ronnie.
Indeed, I'm going to give this to the winner at the end, you know.
That's
I'm lucky
a calibre
to be here
trophy.
at all, you know, Jim.
Ronnie is lucky to be here.
It was a very nasty accident today. I was cleaning out the birdcage and the door slammed over.
How awful! The canary flying around the room with him. It was awful.
And Nick Owen, he's been up all night worrying about this, have you not, Nick?
It's been a very testing time for me, but I'll be all right.
Yes, but the test was clear. It's just a rash. Are we in the jacuzzi, David?
Somebody was saying, watch out for the purple of David Frost. Not his colours, just the colour of his face when he starts to run.
Absolutely, when we all start running around. But it's 7 or 8 minutes each way and no quarter given on our
I'm telling
stage,
you,
Jim.
Lloyd's my man. If there's any problem, you'll speak to Lloyd.
Where's Lloyd playing?
Anywhere he wants to. Anywhere he wants to.
How about that for a straight line?
Steve,
Beautiful.
come in. Because he's been training up
yes, one of the great
mountains in
champions.
Colorado.
Come forward,
yes.
Steve.
Well, he's eating cornflakes all the way, were you, Steve?
No, I wasn't. But I'm very disappointed that we weren't playing 7 minutes each way, because I was hoping for a couple of hours each way, so the stamina could tell, you see. I was looking forward to them long runs down the
you
way.
and I together, I was just the same.
You on the right, me on the left. What do you think?
Wonderful.
This altitude stuff's really working well, don't you think?
My man's going to do well today. I've got great faith. The boys know I am the back 4 in our team.
Well, I think it's about time you all headed towards the pitch. It's a great moment. So off you go. The best of luck, lads.
To glory!
Champion! Oh, dear. Yes.
Good luck. Hope it goes really well. Bye-bye.
And that starts, remember, at 2:15. Don't miss it. But now it's time to go off to one of the best football occasions, I think, of the whole year. It's the Bell's Whisky Manager of the Year lunch. It's a celebration, of course, for men who've been under so much pressure for so long. And the celebrations this year began in one of London's most famous hotels. The Savoy Hotel in the Strand was the venue for this year's Bell's Lunch. As usual, a host of top managers and players were there, relaxing, yes, and talking football. But first up, the Collector's Award was Graham Carr, manager of the 4th Division champions Northampton. They were unbeaten in 39 of their 46 matches and actually clinched promotion early in April. And now they are back in the 3rd Division after an absence of 10 years. So well done, Graham Carr. And congratulations too to Harry Redknapp of Bournemouth, champions of the 3rd Division. Under this former West Ham players' guidance, Bournemouth lost only 7 matches all season and can now look forward to life in the 2nd Division for the first time in their history. And the 2nd Division Manager of the Year is Arthur Cox of Derby County. Only last year they were celebrating promotion from the 3rd. And now under the Cox and Roy McFarlane partnership, they return to the top flight after an 8-year absence as champions. But who is the Manager of the Year? Here to announce the award is the Managing Director of Bell's Whisky, Rob Hermans.
The Bell's Scotch Whisky Football Manager of the Year is Howard Kendall of Everton.
Chairman, gentlemen, naturally very, very proud again to be the recipient of this tremendous award. I think I'd like to thank really a great number of people, certainly the players for their contribution, the hard work throughout the season. To use 23 players, I think is a credit to every one of them that put on that blue shirt of Everton Football Club. I think they'd also like to thank the backroom staff. As you know yourselves, most of you, you can't do it on your own. You've got to have that backing with your backroom staff. And I can say that I've probably got the best in the country. I would like to thank also all the people that have written to me, contacted me over the last few days, congratulating Everton in terms of the championship. One especially, David Plea. And he put on the bottom PS, he said, have a year off. I'd just like to say, David, we had it last year.
So congratulations then to Howard Kendall, but I'm glad to say that the Bell's Whisky Manager of the Year lunch also gives me the chance to meet a few old friends to reminisce about cup finals past, and of course we should be talking about the latest cup final to come, Spurs against Coventry City. And with me at the table this year we have Liam Brady, who was a Wembley winner and a Wembley loser, with Arsenal of course. Ray Clements, who this year becomes only the 5th player to play in 5 FA Cup finals, 3 of them with Liverpool, and now his 2nd one coming up with Spurs as they face Coventry. Ron Atkinson, who had such a good Wembley record as manager of Manchester United. Norman Hunter, of Bite Your Legs fame, a cup final winner and a loser too with Leeds United. And lastly, the England manager Bobby Robson, who took Ipswich to Wembley in 1978 and masterminded a victory over Arsenal. Ray, coming to you first, talking about your 5th FA Cup final. The first one was back in 1971. I just wonder if you feel any difference about coming to this one as to when you were, what, a 22-year-old with Liverpool?
I'm just as excited about this one as I was in 71. But having said that, I'll treat it differently. In 71, I thought I was in control of everything until I actually walked out of the tunnel into the arena, and then the bright sunlight and the noise hit me, and I think if I could have run back down the tunnel, I would have done on that particular day, and I froze completely, and I know I didn't play on that day to the potential that I had.
But that first goal of Arsenal's after, I think, Steve Highway had scored for Liverpool.
Yes.
was a real curiosity, where George Graham for years, I think, claimed it was his.
Well, I can't remember the number of times I've seen that goal, and I still, to this day, don't really know how it went in. My only thought is that maybe the cap I had on fell over my eyes, because it seems the time that the people's feet are next to you, it rolled past and got in the net, and I really don't know the last touch to this day.
I think Eddie Kelly claimed it in the end, but there was no doubt about the winner.
No, there's no doubt about the winner. I mean, it was a great strike by Charlie George, but what most people didn't realise, it actually was deflected a little bit off Larry Lloyd's toe. Now, I probably still wouldn't have got it, but it's always nice to think that if he hadn't deflected it, I might have got a touch to it. I know, yeah.
Graham, Bradford, Charlie George. Bradford. Oh, Charlie George, who can hit him? Oh, a great goal! Charlie George! Oh, what a fabulous goal by George! Clemens had no chance with that. As you say, 72 leads were there, and you beat Arsenal. I tell you the thing that I'm always reminded of, in that, do you remember Mick Jones?
Yes.
And his injury, which was, what, a dislocated
shoulder.
Shoulder,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah, he did his shoulder.
But actually, he cracked onto his elbow, didn't he?
Yes, he did, but he went past somebody, and as he crossed the ball, he was tackled, and he fell down like that, and you could see his shoulder come out. He had to go. I had to lead him up the steps for his medal that day, because he couldn't get up himself.
Really? I think at the end also he was stretchered off, wasn't he? I mean, I can see him waving to the crowd as he...
Yeah, but unfortunately for us, that when we beat Arsenal that year.
That's right.
We were also involved in trying to win the double that year,
Yes.
and we had to go and played on the Saturday, and we had to go play on the Monday at Wolves.
Wolverhampton, that's right.
And they turned round, and we had a patched-up team. We had no Mick Jones. We had a few injuries. All we wanted was till Wednesday, and we could have probably done something about it, because all we needed was...
A lot of a club to do that, wasn't it? To try and win the championship on the Monday after winning on a Saturday. 1 day's rest.
Especially all that season's work.
Yeah.
You've got a cup final, and then you've a league game, the most vital league game.
We were a chance to win ourselves.
I'm interested what Liam says. That could only happen in England.
Only happen in England. Well, I played in Italy 6 years, and I realised what a job Bobby has on his hands, because in Italy they stop the league 10 days before an international match. And
Kevin Oren is up as well. The day has suddenly turned a bit brighter for him, and it certainly has for them.
I don't honestly think Gordon Strachan's ever got enough credit for that. I mean, Gordon Strachan made probably the longest run off the ball to sort of take the defender off the cover and maybe pull South all over to the near post a little bit.
Neville was very much stood on his near post, quite side bent.
I think a lot of people watching...
But he curved the balls.
Oh, it's a
brilliantly.
super
goal.
super shot.
I mean, it's just inside the
that was
post.
deflected as well.
Yeah, it was. Hey, and I agree with it. Yeah. Only by his cap in the back of the net.
I think a lot of people, when they watch it again this year, and they see the managers on the bench and so on, they'll say to themselves, why on earth do they put them through that? I mean, how do you cope, Bobby and Ron?
You wouldn't mind doing it every
Well,
year.
you wouldn't mind doing it.
Well, we're up, shut up, and we are the Super Spurs. Everybody knows we're the football connoisseurs. 7 times we've won the cup, now number 8 is coming up. We're up, shut, Tottenham. We are the team, we are the cream, we are the best you've ever seen. In 81, we had some fun. That's when Ozzy had his dream, and then Ulrich, he done the trick, scored the best goal you ever saw. Now in 87, with David Bliss 11, we're gonna do it once more.
Modern-day cup finals inevitably mean the release of records for the fans to treasure as a musical memento of the big day. For two of the Spurs team, the road to Wembley saw the release of their first duet on disc, a project that they approach with the same quality that they purvey on the football parks of the world.
Eyes that freeze like ice, cold
The success of Diamond Lights was an added pressure for Glenn Hoddle and Chris Waddle, but at the same time an enjoyable departure from the world of football. A successful record means a date with Top of the Pops. It's Tuesday, and in the Top of the Pops office, the executive producer Michael Hurl receives the brand new chart from Gallup. A top 20 place is a necessity for Chris and Glenn to get a spot on the programme.
17 from 30, Diamond Lights, Glenn and Chris, and the alarm's just gone off.
As the record promotion people are let into Michael Hurl's office, music manager Willie Morgan eagerly awaits confirmation of an appearance on the live programme.
30 to 17, Glenn and Chris, PA.
Available.
With a band?
With the band.
How many?
3.
3, okay. As I said before, choreography by Ron Atkins.
The boys have made it, and Willie Morgan's straight on the phone to tell the good news to Chris Waddle.
Hi, Lorna. Willie. Is Chris there? Right, it's 17. 17 in the charts. You sitting down?
Yeah.
You are now?
It's Thursday morning and the start of a very long day for the new pop stars. There's no training for Chris and Glenn up at Spurs ground in Cheshunt, but instead treatment for minor injuries. And the inevitable attention of the fans. Then it's off to Television Centre in a fast car.
This bit. No, it's not. No. You didn't sing, do you? Yeah, you can sing that. You can sing to it? No, you can't sing to it. Is it loudly? Yeah, because the mic will be dead. Yeah, but is it loud in the top of the bit? You've got to remember that. You've got to remember that. Diamond Lights.
So that's what you had him run throughs for. Don't worry about it.
He sang it really. Tim and Tim, the driver.
Saying that Jeff wants to be with this standing when you miss the rehearsal.
Pat will. Pat will, won't he? Pat will be the standing. I'll get Pat up. I'll get Pat up. Traffic.
Don't do that.
Rearranged our life. So afraid tonight. Darling, I love you. I'll always want you. I'll always need you.
This is the bit, isn't it?
Darling, I love you. I'll always want you.
Leader of the shelf. Leader of the shelf. Leader of the shelf, yeah.
Right, let's get this road on the show.
From Hertfordshire to Television Centre, White City, and an hour later, Chris and Glenn have their first chance to put their hard musical work into practice.
And Aston. And cue applause. And cue Gary Clark.
Glenn breaks for lunch, but Chris is off again.
Yeah, fine. It's going to plan at the minute.
This time to a sports shop in Stevenage.
Okay.
Signing session completed, it's back in the car from Stevenage to White City and Television Centre for the Top of the Pops dress rehearsal.
Making their debut on Top of the Pops, here's Glenn and Chris, Diamond Lights.
Leaving the boys looking happy on stage, your intrepid reporter went to the dressing room to find out from their wives what sort of reaction there'd been from the other Tottenham players and their wives.
Well, we've had some stick, but it's all being light-hearted.
What sort of stick?
Well, just obviously calling the two of them, that was it. But we did have stick, but once they heard the record, that was it, it all stopped. So we're all asking for a free copy after that.
But are the two boys really as relaxed as they seem?
Well, that's sort of
what we're trying to portray. But I think it's a little bit we're a little bit nervous doing it because it's new territory for us. We're going to something that we've never done before. But in saying that, it's good fun in doing that, and it's a good experience. But I think when we get out there, as Chris said, once you start playing, once you start performing, I think you start to enjoy it. So we're just going to try and go out there and enjoy it.
But secretly, there's been no miming in front of the mirror at home while the wife wasn't watching.
No, nothing like that. No.
The whole project started as a bit of fun at a party, but now the moment of truth has really arrived. They're live on Top of the Pops.
Hi, good evening. Not only are we live tonight, we also have 6 live bands in the studio. We start off with the number 8 record this week. Here's 5 Star.
The show is underway and it's time for some advice from fellow performers, Kim Wilde and Junior.
Kick straight. Definitely.
Good, Kim. Kick straight. I don't know. This is my first Top of the Pops for, what, 3 years? 4 years. And when I got in there, right, and I stood up on that stage, that first, right, yeah, I had, like, butterflies and stuff, it was like...
First time?
Yeah, for 3 years. I've not done it for 3 years.
What, today?
Yeah. Really, honestly, I had butterflies. So, I don't know, I can imagine how they must feel if it's their...
Wasn't going to the dentist, I hate going to the dentist.
I think at first it was quite nerve-wracking. When you introduced it, it was quite nerve-wracking, but I think once you start getting into it, the crowd at the front did really well.
The Top of the Pops turns Tiger on the tee. Tottenham's serious preparation for Wembley has been done in private. Publicly, Spurs have been in relaxed mood, playing golf to raise money for the Variety Club Sunshine coaches and gagging for the cameras. Out there, it was hard to realise that they were only a few days from the climax of their season. But the Cup final isn't a game to be pushed to the back of the mind, even for those like Paul Allen, who've been there before.
Well, I think it's... I'm looking forward to going back, especially after the way being the youngest to play in a Cup final with West Ham, so hopefully it will be just as nice this time.
I suppose the thing that everybody remembers about you at Wembley with West Ham is the goal that everybody thought you were going to score.
Yeah, well, that was near the end. Sometimes I'm quite pleased, really, because goodness knows what I would have done when I was through, but we won, and that was the main thing. So just hope get another chance this weekend.
Paul's cousin Clive led the winning golf team, displaying the same competitive instinct on the course that has brought him 48 goals this season on the pitch.
Allen's in the middle, he wants to get it across to Clive Allen! Clive Allen does it again. Paul Allen, still Paul Allen. Oh, can run all the ways, pursued by Orr and Martin. It's a hat-trick for Clive Allen, and it's 5 again for Tottenham.
Waddle.
Oh, and Allen went in. It's a goal.
Thomas and Hodge. Comes down to Allen. Tries one, and it came off McLennan. But Allen claims it. Have you enjoyed the formation that Spurs have played most of the season with the 5-man midfield?
Yes, I think when we introduced this system, it's really paid dividends for all the players that have played in the team. And everybody's expressing themselves to the best of their ability. And the results have been good from there.
And what about this half-century of goals? Is it on?
Well, I'm 2 away from that, but the most important result is that Spurs win, and that's all I'll be looking for.
Steve Hodge arrived at White Hart Lane from Aston Villa halfway through the season. Did he find that Tottenham accommodated his style easily?
Well, I think it's a case of me fitting into the system at Spurs with a five-man midfield, and it's gone very well for us. I mean, we've played like 25 games since I've been at Spurs, and we've got beaten 4 of them and won about 20, so it's gone very well for us.
I know people always say that the game that nobody remembers is the semi-final, but you will, I guess, this year.
Well, it was strange, back to my old ground at Villa Park, and I got some bad memories there, unfortunately, but that was one of my better days, and to get 2 goals was great for me.
Allen. He's got quite a bit of room. Oh, Plum is lost, and in comes Hodge! Spurs in front. Hodge and Terry. Hodge turns away nicely. Waddle. Back to our dealers. It's a good movement here by Tottenham. Hodge! Oh, that's a super goal. He started that, he made all the run across the area, and he finished it with great aplomb. Turning up on the left to get the final pass, and a beautiful left-foot shot gave Plumlee no chance. Richard Gough, the skipper, was a newcomer at the start of the season. He's heading for Wembley with half a thought for his former teammates at Dundee United, who seem to have managed well enough even without his contributions.
Will let fly, and he does brilliantly. Oh, superb goal. That's Ralph Milne about to take this. That's a good one, looking Gough.
You've had a lot of experience of big occasions up in Scotland. How are you finding this one?
To be truthful, I think it's a lot bigger. Up in Scotland, obviously I got through to a lot of cup finals and League Cup finals. But I've noticed down here, I mean, it's only the Tuesday and there's a lot of things going on. And the boys keep telling me there's going to be a lot of things going on this whole week. So I think on the whole, it's just a much bigger occasion.
He told you all the way along. I told the gents just to take that one because it was going right in.
Yeah. They wouldn't be filming this if they knew the score we had.
Taking the rough with the smooth is a goalkeeper's lot, but Ray Clements will be making his 21st appearance in a cup final, and with only 5 defeats behind him.
And Clements. Fine bit of goalkeeping.
It was awkward for Clements.
And there's a deflection on that. Splendid save. Clements equal to it.
Your first cup final, 1971. You're the only player from that final who's still active. Are you still feeling as youthful and spry as ever?
Well, maybe there is a little difference in me since 71, but certainly I'm going to... I'll enjoy this cup final more than I did 71, because 71, with it being my first cup final, it was a situation that I felt I was in control of everything, nerves, before the game, until I actually walked out onto the pitch. And when I walked out onto the pitch and the sunlight hit me and the noise hit me, I just froze. And on that particular day, I didn't play to my full potential as well as I think some of the younger Liverpool players in the side didn't either.
Which of the cup finals do you look back on with most pleasure then?
The 74 one, the first time that we won it for Liverpool against Newcastle. I thought that was a very good performance by the Liverpool team. And of course in 82, my first year here at Spurs, we'd had a very, very long season. We'd been in the Milk Cup final against Liverpool, which we'd been beaten. We'd been in the semi-finals of the Cup Winners' Cup, which we'd lost in the semi-final. And also we'd finished about 4th in the league. So at the end of it, to actually finish with something and to beat Queen's Park Rangers in a replay 1-0 was very satisfying.
1982 was the cup final that never was for Ossie Ardiles and Ricky Villa. The 2 Argentine internationals had arrived at Spurs 4 years earlier, trailing clouds of World Cup glory.
They're changing London town to Buenos Aires. They're changing White Hart Lane to Blanco de Torres.
After getting cup winners' medals in 1981, fate separated them. But this week, it was the cup that reunited them.
Yes, I played for a year in America, and after going to Colombia for nearly 2 seasons. And now I play in Argentina in second division.
Are you enjoying that, playing well?
Yes, I play, at the moment I play in a small club, in a friendly club, and I'm feeling well.
Now, this cup final, I'm sure, is going to bring back a lot of memories for you both about cup games. Your first 2 seasons here in the cup, you ran up against Manchester United. They knocked you out in '79. In 1980, when you had a replay, you scored in both games, didn't you?
Did I?
I think so.
Yes, I did. I don't score many, so this is why I remember. One of them was maybe one of my best goals in England for everything involved. It was against Manchester United in Old Trafford in the last minute of the extra time, when we have our goalkeeper Emilia Alexi was taken to hospital this day, and Glenn Hoddle was in goal. So for all the things involved, was particularly satisfying goal.
3 minutes to go. Villa for Spurs. No score in the match so far. Number 7, Ardiles. It's there! The Argentinian has done it!
Now then, in 1981, on the way to the cup final, you actually played against Coventry and scored in that match.
That's right, yes. 3-1 I think we won, and I did. Quite a good goal as well.
Ardiles away from Gillespie. Archibald intercepted again by Gillespie, and now Ardiles has got a great chance, and he scored. A terrible mistake by Dyson.
Ricky, the climax of that '81 season, you scored in the semi-final and then 2 in the final. What do you remember of the goal against Wolves in the semi-final?
Yes, I coming from injury, you know, and I played the first semi-final, and we draw and back to London, and we going 2-0 up, I think, and I scored the 3rd goal. I remember it was a long shot, you know, and was a great goal as well. I like us, you know, score many, but this goal was important, like the final, no?
Now, we all remember Ricky's 2 goals in the replay of the final. You actually started the move for one of them out on the left.
Yes, that was the first one. That's right, and something happened. I think the ball
Steve Archibald had a shot?
Yeah.
That's right.
And you got the rebound?
Yes. This was an easy goal because I just stay in front of the goal, and the ball coming to me, and I just have to kick the ball.
But what about the second one? That wasn't an easy one.
It was a fluke.
This is impossible to play, you know. I get the ball and I start a pass play and score. Yeah.
And still Ricky Villa. What a fantastic run! He scored! Amazing goal by Ricky Villa.
Well, that was one of the best cup final goals ever, and there's the man himself, Ricky Villa. He's here to see Tottenham play in this final today. Now plays his football back home in Argentina for a second division side called Defensa Justica. And getting tremendous reaction from the crowd, but the Coventry players are coming out virtually the same time there. And that's the Coventry fans at that end. And when Ricky Villa, if he goes the whole way around the pitch, we'll get a much more rapturous welcome, I'm sure, at the other end, where most of the Tottenham fans are. So Ricky Villa, a guest of Tottenham here for this match today. And he's down there now, and he's going to talk with Bob Wilson.
Unbelievable. Ricky, hello, it's a wonderful reception for you.
Oh yes, I can't believe that, you know, it's great for me, and I don't have many words to say, you know.
Is it nice to be back?
Yes, definitely, you know, I can explain in a few minutes, you know. I think I have to talk about hours about the people, you know, the club and everything. I'm feeling great, you know.
What they remember, of course, Ricky, is the famous goal of yours that won the cup for Tottenham.
Yes, this is a great moment for me, and it's the best goal I never scored, you know. Great.
What are your memories of the 81 final?
When I score, you know, I want to run non-stop, you know, and get going into the crowd and say, this is the cup for Tottenham, you know.
Do you miss playing in England?
Oh yes, I think I make a mistake when I left England, but it's too over now.
We have a friend of yours with you. You've been staying with Ozzy. Ozzy, hello. Is it nice to have Ricky staying with you?
Oh, it's wonderful, yes. It's wonderful for Ricky to be seeing us, and I'm very happy that he's here as well.
Have you been talking about old times?
Oh, yes, of course, yes. A long time, yes.
And who do you have here with you?
I have Federico, my son, that is very proud to be here as well.
Would you like to say hello to everybody? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. Hello, Mum. Can you say hello, Mum?
Hello, Mum.
She's at home, is she?
Yeah.
And what are your feelings about the game, Mozzie?
I think it's going to be very, very close, and I hope we can win it.
Ricky, your thoughts about the game?
I think Tottenham win 2-0.
It's lovely to see you.
Yes.
2-0 he reckons. Well, if we see a goal as good as the quality goal that he scored those years ago against Manchester City, we'll be very fortunate indeed. Well, the Coventry players and management are out on the pitch now. And you're seeing the shot from a helicopter. There you see the Coventry squad down at their end where the Coventry fans are, getting the feel of the famous Wembley turf. And now the Tottenham group with Richard Gough there and Clive Allen and Hoddle may be playing his last ever match at Wembley, who knows, but his last game for Tottenham today, it's said, and the chances are that he will be going off to the continent at the end of this. Ray Clements, who's got so much Wembley experience, as he was describing just now, and Hodge, and some of the players looking out for their relatives and fans. George Curtis, part of the management duo, and we're switching rapidly between the two groups, and they're wearing very similar suits for the Wembley occasion. David Pleat there, Klassen in the background, who I don't think is totally overjoyed at not being in the Tottenham 11, and there's Waddle, who a lot of people will feel will play a vital role in this match today. Dave Bennett too, some wing play from him we're expecting, and Cyril Regis, who's had a sort of renaissance in the last couple of seasons since Coventry staved off that eternal fight against relegation. Pickering, the former Sunderland player, on the right there. And Richard Gough there, who's been such an influence in the Tottenham team since joining them from Dundee United. And had he stayed there, he'd been playing in a final today as well, against St Mirren. Dundee United against St Mirren. Now, Dave Bassett and Kenny Dalglish with us for the afternoon to enjoy this final. Kenny, in fact, it's your first final that you've seen, isn't it? Or it will be?
Since I've come down here, yeah, it's the first final I've attended, obviously, apart from last year when we were playing in it.
Right.
We went close a couple of times before, losing in semi-finals. I don't think I would have liked to have come along and watched someone who's just beaten us playing a cup final when really you want to play yourself.
Right.
There's only one place to be in a day like this, and if it's possible, and that's to be playing or be part of one of the teams that are playing.
Dave Bassett, where do you think this match is likely to be won and lost? Who do you see as the key players today?
Well, I think there's a lot of imponderables, really, because there's a lot of, we don't know how a lot of the Coventry players are going to perform on the day. What's one thing that's bearing out is they're an enthusiastic team, and I think enthusiasm plays a hell of a lot, and you can't put a price on enthusiasm. But I still stick with my prediction that Tottenham will win.
Tottenham for you, and I think, Kenny, you went for Coventry. You were saying earlier that that the old nerves jangle a bit when you walk out here at Wembley, even for somebody as experienced as yourself. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, well, during the week I saw in one of the papers Ray Clements saying the first time he walked up the Wembley tunnel and he saw the crowd, he wanted to turn and run back straight to the dressing room. But I think really he was trying a little bit of psychological move on the Coventry players there. Coventry look as if they've come along, they look quite relaxed, the fans seem quite relaxed, they look as if they're going to enjoy the day out. And in a lot of ways I think it's similar to the Milk Cup final last year between Oxford and QPR. When Oxford came along, really enjoyed it, played really well. QPR were expected to win, and I think it's the same position today for Tottenham.
Well, Clements there looks nicely relaxed today, but How do you compare the respective goalkeepers here? Clements with all that experience, but Ogrizovic has had a marvellous season, hasn't he, there?
Oh, he's had a tremendous season. I think on certain of the games in the cup ties leading up to the final, he's brought important save-off and kept Coventry in the game. I think he's had a tremendous season. But having said that, I think Ray Clements has had an excellent season. He was chased on one game where he let a goal in badly, but other than that, every time I've seen him, he's played superbly.
Mabbott there, who we saw with Gary Stevens, who's one of the subs, he's had a fine season for Tottenham too, and he and Goff have sort of shored up that defence, haven't they, which was always a little bit suspect in recent seasons.
That's right. I think people always feel confident they can score goals against Tottenham. I still believe that's the case.
Do you?
Tottenham are vulnerable to goal being scored against them, but having said that, they have done very, very well, and their back four generally has played well. I mean, Mabbott seems to have gained strength since he's gone there, and certainly in the game against us, he was outstanding.
OK, Dave, thanks very much indeed. Here's Bob Wilson again.
Richard Goff, I wouldn't have imagined a year ago you'd have thought you'd have been leading out Tottenham Hotspur here at Wembley.
Definitely not, Bob, but very big honour for me today, and hopefully we'll get a good result on the day.
What are your feelings now you've arrived here in the stadium?
Well, just coming out and looking at the pitch is in immaculate condition. And a lot of Tottenham supporters here as well, so hopefully we can make it a very good day for them.
What do you feel about being such firm favourites? There's a little bit of added pressure, isn't it?
Definitely so, but a lot of the papers this morning have been tipping Coventry, and that's a good thing as well, you know?
That's the sort of thing that cheers you up?
Yes.
And the first result after this game here today will be done with United, no doubt?
Yes, well, hopefully they can get a very good result today as well.
Good luck.
So Richard Goff will play a vital role here for Tottenham today. We caught sight of Gary Stevens there in the background just now, who of course played in the cup final here for Brighton a few years ago and scored a memorable goal. I certainly remember it. And he's now with Bob.
Gary Stevens, is there a little bit of disappointment now you're out on the pitch that you're not actually out there?
Yeah, sure, I'm disappointed. I would love to have played 90 minutes, but I will get a kick, I'm sure, today.
You've got memories, of course, of an FA Cup final, not entirely happy.
No, we got beaten after a replay, but I'm sure we can turn it this time and I'll get a winner's medal.
Knowing that you're not out there from the start at least, you can judge the mood within the camp. What's it like?
I think we're quietly confident. Coventry are a good, solid team. It's going to be difficult, but I think we've maybe got too much experience for them.
And Richard Goff saying that being made such firm favourites and everybody sort of going for Coventry, it's a Spur unique.
Yes, favourites win sometimes as well, don't they? So we'll go and prove that right.
Well, Mickey Ginn, the man who expected to be substitute for Coventry today, but in fact, obviously you're playing. I just wonder what your thoughts are for Brian Burrows.
Well, I think not just myself, all the lads are, feeling very sorry for Brian, because he's played so well all season, and to miss out on a game like this, which is probably a once in a lifetime thing, it must be sickening for him, and we all wish him well.
But it's given you the opportunity to play. You've just had a walk around Wembley. What do you think?
Well, I've never experienced anything like it. Apparently, Dave Bennett was telling me it's even worse when you walk out the Roar. So I don't feel too bad at the moment. I just hope I can stay like this. I feel great.
You feel good, do you?
Yeah.
One of the things that some of the experts have been saying, of course, is that Coventry have not got the freeze on the day.
That's right. Well, the way the lads feel, I can't see it happening, to be honest. I think we're so relaxed, and I think we'll be able to play our normal games. Yeah.
Only 1 in 10 teams has actually won a cup final on their first appearance in a final, so It's quite a task.
Well, I don't think that affects us at all. We'll just go out and do our best.
Important goal in the semi-final.
That's right. Well, it got us back on level terms. When it looked as if we were going to struggle to score, but I just hope I've got one left for today.
I think you're the littlest man on the field, aren't you?
Am I? Oh dear. Well, that's. Well, I think I am most games anyway.
Mickey, thanks for joining us. Have a smashing afternoon.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Gary Mabbott and Clive Allen here. Gary, you're looking very calm here. We're keeping you waiting. The noise is terrific, but you're very calm.
Well, that's right. It's an incredible atmosphere, Bob. I've been here a few times now to play for England, but nothing compares with this. The players said to me it's something special, and I hope it's been a very enjoyable afternoon for everyone. I'm sure it will be.
Where's your dad and your brother, Kevin?
I've already spotted them all here. I've got them up in the stands. I've already waved to them, so they're all here waiting, hoping.
Good luck. Clive Allen, Football of the Year, winning everything in sight, so far anyway. You have sort of happy and yet sad memories of Wembley, don't you?
Well, yes, that's right. I came here with QPR in '82. Unfortunately, I was injured after 2 minutes. You know, hopefully that's not going to happen today and I can play a longer part in the game.
I look at all the papers and they say 49 goals, he's going to get the half century. I mean, does that put added pressure?
No, I don't think so. You know, the most important thing is that Spurs win, whoever should score, and if I'm part of the winning side, that make me more than happy.
Good luck. Thank you. Glenn Hoddle, Glenn, the last game, and everybody again saying, well, he'll want to turn it on the day.
Well, the main thing, as Clive's just said, it's a team that matters. It'd be lovely for me to get a goal or something like that, but the main thing is that we win the match. But it's a day for me really to enjoy. Just going to go enjoy it, win, lose or draw.
What do you feel about the pitch? It looks beautiful.
Oh, it's magnificent. I've never seen it in better condition. I think they've redone it after the cup final last year. It's magnificent, probably the best pitch I've ever been on.
And are you feeling quite good inside?
Oh, tremendous. Yeah, I've got no nerves at all at the moment. I'm worrying about that because it might hit me when I get out there, but I don't think so.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Well, Brian Kilcline, the last time we saw you, you were helping a lady undress down by the river.
That's right, and I think that was more nerve-wracking then. I don't know what the wife's going to say about it, but well, forgetting all about that, we're getting here, and it's absolutely electric at the minute.
How much have Coventry been weakened, if at all, by the fact that you've lost Burrows and you've had to drop David Phillips back to right back and you've had to make changes?
I don't think we've been weakened. You know, it's a sad thing that Brian's not been able to play. But all the way through the year, we've had a good squad of players and people have been able to come in and take positions. And, you know, we'll miss Brian, but I don't think we'll be weakened. You know, the person that comes in, i.e. Dave Phillips, will do a splendid job.
You're the man who has the responsibility, I understand, for any Coventry penalties.
That's right.
They've never missed a penalty in a cup final actually at Wembley.
No, I haven't.
Nobody has.
Well, nobody's ever missed one.
And not at Wembley, no.
Oh, I don't know anything about that, but I haven't missed one, and I don't want to say anything more about that. I don't want to say that I'm not going to miss one.
Well, Ray Clements won't get to hear it. What's the tactic with your penalties if you get to take one?
I just try and hit the ball. I don't know how hard I'm going to hit it.
Hit it hard and hit it straight.
Yeah.
Brian,
as long as it ripples the back of the net, I don't mind.
Thanks, Brian.
That's a pleasure.
I've got the three musketeers here with me. I'll call them that anyway today. John Sillett, George Curtis and David Pleat. David, I'll start with you. A wonderful experience for you and a long way from Nuneaton Borough.
Yes, good days. I'm very proud to be here and I'm delighted for everyone that's in the stadium today. I just thought it's going to be a magnificent day.
What do you feel about everybody, I say all the neutrals, really plumping for the underdogs here?
Well, I think that's natural. I think we've got to forget that about the media. We try and forget the media anyway. Favouritism is something for bookmakers and other people. We'll go out there and play the game properly.
You mean you can make it work for you, really?
We have to do what we have to do. At 3 o'clock there's a game of football and then the talking stops.
Good luck. George, a wonderful day for you, really.
Super day, you know, very pleased to be here, and I'm sure it'll be a wonderful match with all the people here today. It's just magnificent.
You're always smiling. You just seem to just take it in your stride.
Well, he does all the worrying, I do all the smiling.
John, I'd better ask you about that then. He says you do all the work. Is that true?
You only got to look at my head, I think, to get that, haven't you? Gone bored as a coot, me, over these few days, Bob.
But I've read all sorts of things about how you've kept the lads relaxed and with strange coloured shirts and competition.
Well, we try anything at the moment, you know, to get it right on the day, and we just hope we have. Keep our fingers crossed that the result's right for us. David's got his cross that's right for him. Let's hope it's a game for all the public to enjoy, anyway.
A wonderful day for Coventry City.
Magnificent.
Thank you very much.
Well, we've heard from a lot of the players involved. Let's hear from a very important man and hear about him. That's the referee for today's match, and it's Neil Midgley.
Burnden Park Bolton on Wednesday afternoon seemed a far cry from the excitement of Wembley, but the final of the local under-15 Schools Cup in front of a crowd of several hundred was Neil Midgley's last refereeing appointment before setting off to take charge of the season's most prestigious match.
It means the pinnacle of a lot of hard work, and it means a lot of satisfaction for a lot of people who've helped me. I'm just thrilled to bits, quite honestly, as any referee would, and is. To those lads tonight, that was their Wembley, so I tried to referee it as though it was at Wembley, but I was also very aware that I didn't want to pull a muscle or do anything silly. But you find you can never win when you're refereeing matches at that level, because I heard somebody in the crowd shout, "And is this fella refereeing the cup final?" which I thought was rather nice.
Neil Midgley works as a salesman for a battery manufacturer, and his colleagues wished him well by presenting a stopwatch, which he'll use in the final. He's been in charge at Wembley before, notably the 1985 Milk Cup final between Sunderland and Norwich, also this year's Charity Shield. But how does he face up to the responsibility of controlling the biggest match in English football?
The build-up is different, the approach and the preparation is different because of all the ticket requests and press and television, which is very good for the ego. But actually, once the game starts, believe me, and I've refereed 5 times at Wembley, immediately the game starts, it's just another game.
Neil Midgley's refereeing career began slowly. He spent several years in local leagues around Manchester before getting onto the list of the old Cheshire County League. Then things really took off, and within 4 years he was on the Football League list, where he's now been for 11 seasons. So how will he prepare for his biggest game?
I shall go a little jog in Hyde Park because I am superstitious. I've refereed there previously and it's gone quite well for me, touch wood, or cross fingers. And what I've done each time, I've gone a little jog, and not a run, just a little jog into Hyde Park and get some ozone, it is ozone, they have in Hyde Park, innit? Get that into my lungs, come back, have a bath, have a big brunch, and that does me for the rest of the day. And about 1:30 we shall have a walk on the pitch and let them smell the atmosphere, then go and get ready and get on with it.
The Midgley home has been inundated with good wishes, more than 400 cards and letters, proving that the referee doesn't go completely unnoticed. The extrovert Midgley is far from the quiet, unassuming character people often expect referees to be, but like all the best referees, he'll measure his success in the final by how little people notice him.
The crowd really want to see skillful players performing, and I think as a referee, it's his job to help those skillful players to perform. And I liken it very much to a conductor conducting an orchestra. He really keeps out of the way, and they don't really watch the conductor if they don't need his help, and that's how I see it, really.
But one thing that's the same about the cup final, the referee's fee is no different to any other match, at £50.
50 quid today in front of about 250 or 2,000 million around the world or something like that will be watching it. He'll let the game flow, won't he, Neil Midgley, today, if he has the slightest opportunity?
He refereed our game with Everton at Anfield a couple of weeks ago, and he did very well. He lets the game flow. A lot of referees say that they want to be unnoticed, and if they are unnoticed, they're for a good game. But he genuinely believes it, and it's nice to see him get the accolade.
Coventry have exceeded anything that they might have expected, in a sense, by getting to this final this year, haven't they? But I suppose for Spurs to have a complete season, they've got to actually win it, haven't they, really?
Well, John Sillett can say to the Coventry lads, just go out and enjoy yourself. You've had a magnificent season,
Yeah.
win, lose or draw. But Tottenham are a big club and they're expected to win things. And they have had a great season, but they haven't won anything yet. So I think that's why there's extra pressure on them, as opposed to Coventry.
Well, Dave Bassett, you lost a cup game to Tottenham, but you beat them in the league, didn't you?
At Tottenham, yes.
At Tottenham. How do you combat this 5-man midfield?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't really do very well in the cup, so when we beat them at Tottenham, they played differently.
You had a good go, because their goals came right at the end, didn't they?
That's right. I mean, there's different ways you can do it. I mean, how I would possibly do it on reflection will probably be different to the way that Coventry do it. I just got a feeling that McGrath might look to pick Hoddle up in the deep role, and they might bring one of the wide players, Pickering, will probably Pickering in and leave Bennett free.
Is that the way to play it, to man-mark Hoddle like that? Watford tried it in the semi-final for a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's difference of opinion. That's how I think Coventry would do it. Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying that's how I would do it or Kenny would do it. I think we've all got different ways in how we would attack it. Obviously, it has caused a few problems for teams because Tottenham do get Hoddle, who plays a little bit like old Di Stefano used to, you know, in that deep lying role, and it can cause problems to the centre-halves, and also with the two wide players pushing on, he can play people in.
Right. Obviously, you've got to be conscious of the way Tottenham play, but the most important thing is to get his own team playing. Coventry side have done tremendously well throughout the whole season. And I don't think he's going to change the way he plays just for one match.
Right.
I think he'll try and obviously contain Tottenham the best way he'll seem fit, but I don't think it'll change too much.
OK, boys, a little more from you shortly. But now here's your usual chance on Cup Final day to say, what's old Lynham on about? If he thinks these are the top 30 goals, then he definitely doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, he might not agree these are the top 30, but you'll have to admit they're certainly worth watching, and we'll be delighted if we see better here today.
Run by Perrin, and James has got the whole field. He's got the whole field to himself. He'll have to beat the defender. He's got the goalkeeper now. Perrin, Collins' header that was. Comes the best. It's there. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Lock. Good call. Hudson heard him. Osgood. Kemba carrying away. Osgood. 1-0. Bolton in the Real half. There's David Nish. Gamble. George! Oh, I say cracker! Rain has eased slightly, but it's still coming down. Rio. Highway for Liverpool. Keegan wants to get through. Becker. Now Keegan. Neil is up on the far post, calling for a cross. McDermott. Oh, that was beautiful! Stayland comes to meet the goal kick. Wolford's header. Here's Robertson. Regis taking it well on the chest, and a lovely piece of control by Regis. Oh, what a great shot! Oh, what a goal! Still Regis. Back to find Graham Souness. Looking to knock it forward.
Picks up Dalglish, and a marvellous turn inside the defender. Steps around another. Oh, and into the top corner. A stunning individual goal by Kenny Dalglish.
Galvin. Brook. Huddle with a beautiful piece of skill. What a magnificent goal by Glenn Huddle. He deserves those celebrations. This is going to take it. He's making a near post run. And maybe a chance here. Brilliant! What a goal! It was Hughes. Who else would get a goal like that? Looking for Sharp, and he got behind Lawrence from there. Did Sharp? What a fantastic goal! Dennis Law running beautifully. Dennis Law there, and the ball is still there. It's free. Dennis Law, and he's scored! Neil's clearance to Dalglish. Beautiful turn. Oh, and on for Rush. What a perfect through ball. And what a brilliant goal. Ian Rush celebrates the goal, but Ken Dalglish, the creator supreme. Waiting again for the cross from Price. Stapleton. Oh, that Rice in there. Oh, Brady won it beautifully. Look at that! Oh, look at that! What a goal by Brady! There's the outside left Seabor, right over on the right wing. Pushkash. Oh, a lovely goal! Huddle. There's Ardiles. There's Huddle. Oh, smash it! Oh, that's a brilliant goal! Racewell. On again for Reed. Well played.
was great! What a fantastic goal! Oh, what a goal by Mallory! Radford. Now Tudor's gone down for Newcastle. Radford again. Oh, what a goal! What a goal! Now Di Stefano. Oh, it's better when he moves. And it's 7-2. Oh, my goodness! Always someone backing up. Milton Santos this time. Billy. And number 3.
Ryan, Fashanu. Oh, what a goal! Oh, that's a magnificent goal!
Now it's Charlton, Bobby Charlton, Hunt on the right. Maybe a shot from Charlton. Worth trying.
Taken by Walsh. Davis is on the far side. Ainscough coming square. That's the ball. That's a good try! What a goal!
And still Ricky Villa. What a fantastic run. He scored. Amazing goal.
Best is up front. There he is, the defence split. Can he do it? He surely must.
Gamble. Good play by Gamble. And again. 3-1. Green, changing direction so well. Oh, beautiful football. What a great goal. Fabulous goal. Oh, this is great stuff. They need to take it in turns to give an exhibition. Jairzinho, number 7. Pele. Up comes Carlo Alberto on the right. And it's 4! Oh, beautiful body sweep to Kidd. Sean Aston in the middle. And here comes Charlton. Oh, great goal!
Chaga to his left and Valdano to his left. He won't need any of them. Oh, you have to say that's magnificent.
Well, let's hope we can add to that collection here today. Now, in about 25 minutes or so, the two teams will be walking out onto the pitch, and whatever happens today, this will go down as the Spurs-Coventry FA Cup year. But back in August, no fewer than 504 clubs around the country entered the competition to produce today's two finalists. And quite a few stories emerged along the way.